Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the best Sega Dreamcast emulator on Android. Let's get started. So the last video I did on this was September of 2017, which was 2 years ago. Geez, time flies fast, eh? I can't believe it's already been 2 years since then, and the last time I recommended an emulator, things have changed since then. The last one I recommended was Raycast, and this one I actually recommended to go to their website and download a developmental version of it. But no longer is this the case. Things have changed so much that there is a new emulator out that I highly recommend. And the emulator that I recommend is Redream. Now, the last time this thing was updated was September 10th, which was pretty recent. This is also the emulator that I recommend for desktop. So if you are running PC and want to know the best Dreamcast emulator for that, check out my video and I'll leave a link to that in the description. This is also a free and paid app. I do recommend if you are a Dreamcast fanatic and would like to play and get the most features out of this app, it's $7.99 in Canada. And if you're in the USA, that works out to $5.99. But honestly, just like the DS emulator Drastic that I recommended, this is worth it to buy. Now, the difference between free and paid, the paid one supports the developer of this, and on top of that allows access to HD rendering. If you don't need HD rendering and are okay with just the standard look, I'll say, and I'll show you the standard one, then you don't need to pay anything. So this is the main screen of Redream, and I'm just mirroring my device. So you can see my device right there. So what I see is what you see. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my phone. And I think I've fixed it this time so that the video isn't as choppy. Now, right on the main screen, we have two options: upgrade to premium or continue in light mode. And you can see with the upgrade to premium button, it does say play games in high definition like they deserve by upgrading. So let's just click continue in light mode for the time being. Now this has automatically found my games. All I had to do was pinpoint the folder for this to look, which was my external SD card. So that's pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy with that so far. On top of that, the artwork is there too. I did not have to go and search for that. That's already there, which is pretty great. So you can see I've got 4 games on here: Capcom vs SNK 2, NHL 2002, Third Strike, the English version, and Third Strike, the Japanese version. These things are made to be played with controllers. You can use the touchscreen to varying degrees of success, but don't forget, these games were made to be played with controllers and not on a smartphone touchscreen. So I do recommend picking up a Bluetooth controller if you are using this. I prefer right now the 8BitDo M30. I'll leave a link to this in the description below. This little attachment here is just for my phone, so I can just set my phone inside of that. So that goes in pretty simple, just like this. So what I'll do now is connect this Bluetooth controller to the emulator. So I've clicked the input button. Now I'm just going to power on my Bluetooth controller. And you can see it's immediately recognized it. So now I will click the button. And when I click the button, it gives me the option to customize binds. So I'll do that right now because this is definitely not the standard Dreamcast controller. It's a Sega Genesis inspired one, so I will have to make sure that the buttons match what I want them to do. And mapping them is pretty simple and straightforward. One thing that I really like is they show a picture of the Dreamcast controller, so you know exactly what buttons you're mapping. You don't have to do any guesswork. It's just right there. You know where the X button is, where the Y button is. So if you were using a Dreamcast controller and are now using something like this, the Genesis style controller, you can definitely make that transition pretty easy. Another reason why I like this emulator is all the options are simple. So if we take a look at the video options, we have 3 of them: the aspect ratio, the frame rate counter, and the polygon sort accuracy. So the only one I'm going to be changing right here is the frame rate counter. I'm just going to turn it on to see how the game is performing. In the system options, we've got the region, language, broadcast, and cable. And your options here are VGA, RGB, and composite, which is kind of interesting to see those options here. I'm just going to stick with the standard VGA. If you want to add more directories to select your games, you can. Just go into the library tab and add any directory you're looking for. So I'm booting up CVS2, Capcom vs SNK 2. One thing to note here is that I have not put a BIOS in this. A BIOS file is not required at all, which is awesome. And again, this is using the free version, the light version of the emulator. So we can see just above me, the 60 frames a second just up there. So right now there is no slowdown whatsoever. Everything looks to be going well. I'm noticing as well on this main menu, there is no screen tearing. Now in game, there is also no FPS slowdown. So you can see right above me, it's still at 60. Sometimes certain stages cause slowdown. This stage in particular caused a slowdown on my other phone. I'm noticing no such issue here. So even if I was to throw something like a fireball, I can see above me that the frame is still at 60. Now in game, if I do hit the menu for the emulator menu, I have the option here to save states, resume game, or exit game. So I'm going to exit the game and try a different one. So now I have third strike up, and again this is running without any issue. I'm not noticing any problem at all whatsoever so far. I will boot this up into a match just to see if there is going to be an issue with frame rate, but so far it's also holding steady at 60. So you can see everything here looks absolutely fine. I'm not noticing any issue whatsoever. Everything looks good. There's no slowdowns. So I'm going to go try another game. Alright, so this game seems to be up and running absolutely fine. Just above me now, 60 frames a second. So everything's looking really good. I'm not really noticing any screen tearing. Everything seems to be looking right. The reflections are proper on the ice. I would say this is a win. Now, if you do decide to pay for Redream, here are the options that you get. It's actually just one option here in the video menu. And if we take a look, you can see it. It wasn't there before, but it's here now, and it's internal resolution. So let's try loading a game and seeing what happens. I don't have my hopes up too high for this, maintaining 60 frames a second at this high resolution, but let's try it. So I've got the resolution bumped up. The frame rate above me is holding steady. I've seen it dipping just a little bit between menus. Let's check out gameplay. So I've got everything bumped up. This looks a lot nicer than it did previous. The frame rate's holding steady, but I did notice a few dips. I don't know if I can replicate that. I don't think so. It seems to be holding pretty good. This looks a lot prettier though. So if you want a prettier looking game, maybe the paid option is good for you. But you will also need a higher end smartphone in order to do it. I've got a Galaxy Note 9, which is, I would say, on the higher end. If you've got a lower end, it may struggle. But the best part about it is if you don't want to make the investment, you can definitely try the app out for free or just use it for free. If you have a lower end device and aren't sure of whether or not this is going to work, it's free to try, so you can definitely just try everything out. Now, if you want the most configuration, you can definitely check out RetroArch as well, although that is definitely not for the faint of heart. It is considerably more advanced, and if you aren't familiar with RetroArch, I do have a video. I can leave a link to that in the description below, but it does require considerably more setup. I would say Redream is probably your best bet. That's all I've got for today. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't like the video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Thank you everyone, take care.